Talk about you. Let's talk about you, and let's talk about your career. So, you first of all, let's talk about what you do for a living. You're a writer.
Yes, I am a writer at Breitbart News. Yes.
So you're writing articles over there, and you're also a script writer.
Yes. I have written 7 feature film screenplays.
Can you give us a rundown, like out of all of those productions, which one do you think people like? If people were to go check one out now, which one would you go have them check out?
Well, there's only one that I've made, and that's.
But you've got the screenplays written for the other ones.
Yeah, I've got them written, and the one that is made is Exemplum, and I made that for $9,000, and you can watch that for free on Tubi.
It is,
guys.
I
have questions for you, by the way, about that after the show. Yeah. Like, I have questions about how you managed to pull that off.
I'm not the first one to do it.
Guys, I watched Exemplum yesterday, and I did watch Nefarious I think it was a couple months ago. I enjoyed Exemplum. I enjoyed Nefarious. I really enjoyed Exemplum.
Oh, thank you.
Pacing wise, it is fantastic as far as the pacing of the film goes. Like you said, you worked very well within a very small budget, and I also thought the sound design was one of the strongest elements for this film, because that's one of those things. I'm deaf in one ear, so I have to pay very close attention when I'm listening to movies. I'm one of those people. I'm very pro closed caption. I know that's a big argument in the current generation with people, but I really enjoyed the sound design, because I feel like that and aspects of color grading are the things that, when you watch Hollywood films, you don't notice it when it works, but you absolutely notice it when it doesn't.
Yes.
So choosing to go black and white on this film worked 110% to its advantage, and sound is one of the same things. When sound doesn't work, you notice it right away.
Absolutely.
And there was no point throughout this film where I felt like that was an issue. How did you come up with the concept for the script?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So, like I said, I did make the movie for $9,000. So when you're working at a budget that low, you have to basically construct the entire story around what you can get for free or relatively cheap. So I knew that I could get a Catholic church for free. I knew I could get
That's a bargain.
Yeah. No, I could get a few Catholic churches for free. I knew pastors in the area of Pasadena, and I knew I could get maybe a restaurant or a bar for free, and I could shoot guerrilla style on sidewalks and in people's apartments or houses. So I always had in the back of my mind a story about a priest that records his confessions. And I didn't know where that story was going to go, but it was in the back of my mind. So I developed it a little bit more, and so I came to the idea that this is a priest who records his confessions out of paranoia, and then he starts playing them back and becomes obsessed with them, and he starts formulating psychological profiles about people. And in that process, he gets this idea for an internet show called Exemplum. Now, Exemplums, if you don't know, they were morality tales in the medieval era. Geoffrey Chaucer wrote one, famously, The Pardoner's Tale. They would always explore people's foibles, people's sins that lead to their downfalls, usually tragedies of some kind. So he's doing this internet show called Exemplum, and he's using his confessions that he's recorded as a base of inspiration for it, creating characters off of that. So it becomes big online, becomes big on social media, has a Twitter following, and his show is blowing up. And then through bureaucracy and corruption in the church, his show is completely wiped out, and his social media presence is silenced. And so he's going to be sent to this dilapidated parish in the middle of nowhere. And so he suffers a crisis of faith, and he decides to take one of those tape recordings and blackmail a wealthy parishioner with it. In the process, he gets linked up with a hacker. It becomes this cat and mouse game that spirals out of control. So it really, back to your question, you begin with a practical question. How can I pull a movie off that's interesting and intriguing for $9,000? So you have to construct your whole plot around that. So, I mean, there are whole story decisions in this movie that are decided upon based off of what I know I can actually do.
I think that's interesting, because Hollywood now, they have so much money and they have so much infrastructure that it's the over-reliance on CGI. And it's like they've lost the art of being able to make more with less. One of the examples I always give is like, why do you use CGI blood when you could do blood squibs? Which look 110% more realistic and have create a more visceral reaction in the audience if you see that. And you see the way that they do things now is they just have the money to not care about making it work on less money, which brings to, in my opinion, a more authentic form of storytelling.
Absolutely. And I think there's something metaphysical about it. There's a very good scene in the movie Bottle Shock. It's not a great movie, but there is a very nice little scene where Bill Pullman's walking through his vineyard, and he talks about how the greatest gift you can give to your vineyards is your feet, and make your grapes struggle as they go up. And so I think when you watch an older film that's using practical effects, on real locations, there is a kind of struggle that's in the film. Putting those things together on camera, putting the blood squib on camera, putting those, arranging them in such a way that you feel it as a viewer. Yeah. It comes to you. And versus where it's on CGI, all on a soundstage, you don't feel that struggle. It's empty. It's corporatized. It's just people turning wheels.
It's Marvel suffers from this big time, like any type of big budget thing where a character's against a large scale green screen. Like a lot of the best CGI is the ones you don't notice. It's the stuff that you don't realize.
It's subtle.
It's there.
It's very subtle, yes.
The reason that you don't feel any connection there is because there is an inherent difference between two people being there at the same place and one person being there against a backdrop that really isn't there. There is actually one of the things I was pointing out, was like studio wind is very different. Just like fake fire. Fake fire never looks as real as it looked back when fire was actually used.
Yes.
Which was the most dangerous out of all of them to do. I think one of the best examples is like the old. There was a really bad episode in the first season of the X-Files where they had to do a fire episode, but it was beautiful because even if the episode's bad, it just looks. It's so real.
Yes.
What you're watching there. The other thing about the budget is one of the examples that I give is bottle episodes on television. A good writer and a good producer on a television show can make great art when they have to save money.
That's right.
The episode Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man from the X-Files was a bottle episode, and you can absolutely tell that the entire episode, William B. Davis, he's on a soundstage. He's on a soundstage, but the sound editing is fantastic. And the audio, the way the dialogue is portrayed through, he's listening to Mulder and the lone gunman have this discussion, and the way the crackle of the tape recorder, all of these things that don't cost a lot of money to do. They just take expertise, but that's what makes it work. And they don't think about that anymore because they just say, we've got money, we'll throw money at the problem.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And, to the comments about the sound editing, all of that is, a lot of that's just done in camera. I was very particular about, when we were on set, I was like, okay, put the boom mic up against the tape recorder. Let's get the snapping of it going in. Let's get the hearing of the
closing
spin.
The tape.
Absolutely. All of that. And, I was very, I did this all editing in my living room with my daughter, literally with my wife watching my daughter right next to me. And, I was very intent on going through each and every take and making sure the sound was not intrusive. It's only just one person holding a boom mic, but I would say maybe about 50% of the movie's dialogue is dialogue from another take that I would relay under, a lot of it is that kind of on-site ADR. And here's actually a very good trick for low-budget filmmakers. And I learned this from Christopher Nolan. I didn't invent it myself. If you are on a site and you're not able to get good sound, so record your takes and then do a just pure sound take, getting the boom mic as close as you can, and just do pure sound, get the actors to do it, the dialogue as close as they could, and then use that as your ADR rather than doing ADR. So it's very naturalized. Yeah.
They're standing. They're in a booth. They're not just in a booth.
They're not just in a booth.
By glass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you get it. You get the room, everything. So and then you get it in the editing bay. You just line up the sound bars. It's perfect.
Would that actually be less audio layers too, because you wouldn't have to go through and
Oh, and there's a lot of work that you have to do with ADR to make it sound good. Yep. Like even professional films with ADR, like you can tell it's like, oh, that's ADR. Yep. Yeah, they're in a booth.
Oh, or like the actors suspiciously their head is turned as they say something, like as they're about to cut to the next scene. They're like, oh, they meant to get that piece of dialogue, or like some script editor was like, this doesn't make any sense. Somebody needs to say something here before they leave the room. I love that stuff.
We had a similar thing. We shot a documentary last summer, and it involved a little bit of screen acting, and we had to do like 6 or 7 takes for each scene. And that was like tiny because there were 3 of us. But like I was astounded. I'd never been on the camera side, so I didn't know. But I was sitting there like as we're doing these takes, I'm like, man, there's like 2 different angles per shot, and we're re-recording audio and everything. It was a lot more of a process than I understood it was. And it's given me a lot more respect for the people who can do it on a tiny budget.
$9,000 is a whole lot less than Kevin Smith spent to do Clerks. And he
No,
did most
no.
of that in the building that he worked at night. You know?
Yeah, it's about the same amount of money. Because like I said, I'm not a trailblazer here. Robert Rodriguez made El Mariachi for $7,000 in the early '90s, and then Christopher Nolan made Following for about $6,000.
Yeah, but what is $7,000 in the '90s is like?
Yeah.
That's $45 million today.
so guys,
Not even joking, it probably is like 20,000.
Look, not kidding around. Like I was looking at some today. I was looking at some stuff for a gun, red dot optics. They're like 30% more now than they were 2 or 3 years ago. I paid for an aim point like T1, which anybody that knows guns knows them. Like I paid like $750 for mine, and I bought them 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. Now they're over $1,000 each.
I am so glad I bought my EOTech when I did back in 2019.
Those are probably over $1,000 now too. So
I might sell it for that exact reason.
let's watch the trailer. You get to
yeah,
watch
please.
the trailer? All right, so I'm going to put the trailer on here, guys. So if you are listening to the podcast, what you should do is you should go over to the YouTube channel right now and turn your actual monitor on so that you can see this. So let's go ahead and get this on screen and let's play it. Here we go. And then if you want to watch it, it's on that screen over there.
Oh, great. Are we still?
They can't.
Okay,
They can hear us, but they can't see us.
Are there any smart devices in the house?
Just my phone and computer.
Unplug your Wi-Fi and place your phone in the fridge. Do it now.
Brett.
What? What's up?
Oh.
Oh, is it?
The tape recording. Do you have it?
Yes.
Play it for me. Now.
May you rise above the chaos.
Guys, you should absolutely go and check this film out. You said it's on Tubi?
Yes, it's for free on Tubi, but I also agree with you about ads. So you do have to sit through ad breaks. So if you don't want to sit through ad breaks, I highly recommend you can just for $1.99 rent it on Vimeo on demand, or you can rent it on Google Play or YouTube Movies.
Excellent.
And for, $2 for a movie is nothing.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful streaming service. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Do you got further projects in the works?
Yes, I have actually been commissioned to write another film. I won't reveal the idea right now, but I'm working on another thing right now. Absolutely.
The other scripts that you have written, is that something you hope to one day be able to produce?
Absolutely,
those as well?
absolutely. They're higher budget scripts, but I want to return to them. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Also, Andrea Mew in the chat says that her friend Vlad was on the movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yes.
right. Vlad. Oh, let me give a big shout out to Vlad here. Yes, Vlad was my cinematographer.
Yes, that's what she
Vlad
said.
was a wonderful part of this film. I would not have gotten this movie made without Vlad, so I want to say that live and publicly. Vlad's wonderful. He brought so much to this film because you got to understand I'm acting and directing in this movie, so there's only so much that I bring the shot ideas. But Vlad really brought his A game on the lighting so much. He had these great ideas for getting the chiaroscuro and doing the shadows. This movie would not have been done without Vlad. He was with me every step of the way. He was my right-hand man. I can't sing his praises enough. Absolutely.
And the lighting's fantastic in that because it works well with the black and white.
Absolutely.
The way the shadows mix is
yes.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, as you know, like they were talking in the chat, like they're making fun of my rating systems, but I have been rather negative with movies lately. But this is an absolutely one. You should go check this one out this weekend. It's absolutely worth your time. So, do you have any other things that you got working on right now?
Well, yeah, I've been commissioned to write one, and I have the other ones that have already been written. But so right now it's pulling this out there, getting it promoted, getting fun people like yourselves to watch it, and I have got plenty more in me to bring to.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.